Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm Mayor Glotz. Thank goodness the rain stopped soon enough so you can get here. With us tonight, the one and only famous from the Cook County Board of Review, my favorite, Dana Pointer from Larry Rogers' office. The cute young guy sitting next to her is Bill. No, that's not you, Jim. Bill Brennan. Trustee Brennan and Orland Township Highway Commissioner. Then we have Mayor Dodge from Orland Park, Clerk Nancy O'Connor, and then Lisa Butler, my assistant. You know, these things are not easy to put together, so I really want to thank Dana Pointer, my assistant Lisa Butler, Village Manager George from Orland Park, and Lindsay Trost-Napleton from the Orland Township. It was very hard to find dates that were open and everyone to be able to be here the same day, so kudos to them for making sure that we were able to do this. The convention center, they always do a great job. We were very thankful to Dan Fitzgerald and his team for allowing us to have this here tonight. It really means a lot to us. In regards to your taxes, I've been doing this well over 20 years. My family is large, and so I used to do a lot of them. And so it was nice to be in this position where we could help people. The village over the last 3 years has been lucky. We have froze actually the last 2 years, it'll be 3 years, hopefully this year. We freeze our levy for the biggest confusion is the taxes. Oh, my taxes in Orland or Tinley Park are too high. The village of Tinley Park is a separate taxing body from your school districts. We freeze our tax levy. The village does not raise their tax levy. And anyone, when we do the Will County one, they were receiving huge reductions because we freeze ours every year. The problem is your school districts that keep raising your taxes. If you look at your tax bill year over year, it's your school taxes that keep raising their levy 5 to 7%. That's the issue you have. But it's not technically the school board's fault. The legislators are the ones that defund them and don't give them enough funding that they're supposed to be receiving. They keep cutting back. You know, the buses, they used to pay that fully. Now they give them less. So the problem isn't technically your school boards. They're forced to raise the levy because your legislators in this area are the ones that keep taking money away from us and giving it to other communities. So it's not their fault. Their schools do a great job. It's just unfortunately they're stuck with a tough decision because the local legislators keep yanking the money away from this area and they keep giving it to other areas. And so that's the biggest problem. Before we get to Dana, I just want to let Bill Brennan just talk about his board. And before I do that, again, I want to thank our clerk, our trustees, Mike Mueller, Ken Shaw, Dennis Mahoney, Bill Brennan, Michael Mueller, Colleen Sullivan, and Bill Brady. So here you go, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Glotz. So the township portion of your tax bill is generally a very minute portion of it, less than generally 1%. Of that comes from your large tax bill. Tinley is comprised of 4 different townships, which is there's a lot of layers of government here. Just to kind of add into what Mayor Glotz was saying, I represent the Highway District in Orland Township, but Tinley is comprised of Bremen Township, Rich Township, and Frankfort Township there in the Will County side of Tinley Park. And I know Orland has a very small portion as well. But we've worked tirelessly to keep our tax levy at 0%. The Orland Township trustees are in the they oversee a couple. They oversee a lot of senior services, youth and family services, and me personally, I oversee the unincorporated roads portion of Tinley and Orland Township roads that are in the unincorporated areas. So a very small portion of your tax bill, but we are fully dedicated to keeping that tax levy at 0% alongside here with the village of Tinley Park. So, you know, you have our word that we will continue to fight for you guys and keep our continue to provide quality services, but also continue to keep our tax bills low. So I'll turn it over to Mayor Jim Dodge.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill, and thanks for Mayor Glotz. This is his idea. He graciously pulled a number of us in from other taxing bodies, so tip of the hat. Can I call you Mike, or do I got to be all Mayor Glotz? Call him Mike. But I just want to kind of build very quickly on some of those points that your local municipalities or your township or your other entities tend to be a pretty small part of your tax bill, and as Mike said, he's exactly right. If the legislature is not funding education, it goes on to the property tax bills. That's just the simple reality of being in Illinois. That's point number one. Point number two, today is really important because you have the right to go through this process to appeal your taxes. You, as homeowners and residents, you have to do everything you can to get your taxes as fair as you can, given where we live in terms of the way things are structured in Illinois. So it's an important night. I think there's some great content coming. I know there's delays with the tax bills again this year. So everything you're going to hear tonight will soon apply when you get those bills. But again, reach out. There's a lot of resources here to help you with this process in terms of trying to make sure your taxes are as fair as they can be. And then my third point, and I'll stop soon, is as this impacts you and your family, make sure folks like Bill at the Township, Mike, and I know so we can kind of collectively communicate it up to the folks that are causing that whole stack of your property taxes. It's really important that you keep letting us know what you think and the impact on your families, because then we kind of push it up the chain, so to speak. So it's really important. And with that, again, Mike, appreciate you arranging all this and look forward to the conversation.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Billy. Real quick, I just want to touch on one other point that Mayor Dodge mentioned. As far as the funding goes, if everyone remembers, not too recently, they were proud that they have a record budget. What was it, $52 billion they're spending this year? That record spending, unfortunately, went to their pet projects, and they took it away from our children in the schools, like Mayor Dodge was mentioning. And unfortunately, it goes to the assessor's office. Last point on the taxes, the Board of Review is here to help us. The assessor is the one that assesses the values, which I think there's no reason for us to have two layers of government to look at your taxes. So the Board of Review, like Dana and her team, they come in and they make sure it's fair. The assessor is the one that sets this precedent and causes this problem. The Board of Review, they will not, if they feel your taxes are too low, they will not raise them. But if they're too high, they will lower them. So they have one thing that they do. They're only here to help lower them. And so thank you, Dana, to your team. I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for everything that you guys do.
Thank you. And thank you to the panel for having us here. This is our third year, I believe, coming to this location to service you guys. Again, my name is Dana Pointer, and I am here on behalf of your commissioner, Commissioner Larry Rogers, Jr. So while I give this presentation, I'm going to step over this way so I can go through this projector so we can get things going. We're having a little malfunction over there, but we're going to make it happen. That's why I told you guys to sit on this side. All right? Now, let's go ahead and get this started. What are the reasons that people appeal? How many are appealing because the assessment on their property is too high? All right, that's about everybody in the room. That is the main reason that people file an appeal with the Board of Review. All right? Another reason that people file at the Board of Review is if you have recently purchased your property. So if you have purchased your property in the past 3 years, and say you paid $250,000 for your property, and the assessor is assessing you at $400,000, that's a discrepancy, right? That is another reason that you want to file an appeal with us at the Board of Review. The next reason is if you have recently completed an appraisal. A recent appraisal is anything that has been done in the past 3 years, okay? Just say, for instance, there's a discrepancy on your square footage. you can use that appraisal. If the value of your property differs from what's on the appraisal and what the assessor is saying, that is evidence. So those are reasons to appeal. Some of the other reasons are if your property is currently vacant, if you sustained any flood, fire, water damage, any of those things, or if the property is demolished and there's no longer an improvement there, you need to be assessed as though you have vacant land. All right? These are the majority of the reasons that people are filing with us today. But again, the most reasons that people appeal is because the assessment is too high. You guys are seeing it keep going up on a continuous basis, and you may not have made any improvements or any changes to the property. Now, I want to briefly go over the property tax cycle because sometimes people don't know how the cycle goes. As the mayor said, the process starts with the Cook County Assessor's Office. They are the ones that process all the values across Cook County, whether it's residential, commercial, or industrial properties. The assessor assesses those. You can file appeals with the assessor. They also handle your exemptions. Those are the things that save you money. We're going to talk about some of those exemptions today. And they also have a form called a certificate of error. So if you are missing an exemption, if they've made some type of error on your property, you can fill out that form. They can go back up to 3 years to correct an error. All right? And if you have overpaid, they will cut you a check and they will send that to you in about 10 or 12 weeks. They are a bit behind, so it may be a bit longer than that, but you will get your check for overpayment. After that, you come to the Board of Review. That is our department. Commissioner Rogers, again, is your commissioner. The only way that the Board of Review can make changes to your property is if you file an appeal. If you do not file an appeal with us, your property will only be used as a comparable. All right? So again, remember, you can file with the assessor's office and file with us at the Board of Review. Those are your options. From there, we have the Department of Revenue. Now, that's kind of where the tax bills are stuck at now. You know how they mentioned, well, you guys know your tax bills are late, right? You usually have them and they're due August 1st, right? What's today, the 12th, I think? Okay, and you still don't have them. So what happened was the assessor's office, I know you guys have heard in the news that we have a new system that is used for all of the taxing bodies, the Tyler systems. This system was created and it was only supposed to take about 4 to 5 years to get it up and running. Here we are 10 years later. And what happened was the assessor took all the information and data off of our mainframe and just went straight to this new system, and it's not compatible. He did not send in data in enough time, so the Department of Revenue could not do their job, which is to come up with the state equalizer. The state equalizer is used to make sure that the taxes are fair throughout the entire state. Here in Cook County, residential properties are assessed at 10% and commercial properties are assessed at 25%. Outside of Cook County, the rest of the state is assessed at 33 1/3. So that state equalizer is what is used to make it uniform. So right now, because the Department of Revenue didn't get the information in time, now they're trying to come up with that equalizer, which it doesn't happen at the snap of a finger. So now we're waiting to get that. And then it has to go back to the assessor's office and everyone else to get the work done. So right now, we don't even have a date to tell you when the tax bill will come out. It could be October. We don't know yet. So you guys can continue to check the assessor's website, check on our website, give us a call, and we can let you know once we get that data. But we can't really do much until we have the information. Okay? Now, once you go from there, we have our local governments, which the panel was just speaking about. You have several overlapping forms of government. Like you say, where do most of your taxes go? The schools. You have several school districts in one area. That can be costly. And as I can't remember your name from the highways. Commissioner Brennan, thank you. As he mentioned, highways, all of these things are in your budget. What is needed to make sure your city, town, or village is functioning properly? So that's your fire department, your police, your highway, your schools. All of those things are what is needed to keep it running, and that's where your levy comes into place. All right? From there, it goes to the Cook County Clerk's office, which determines the tax rates. And one of the biggest issues in the southern and western suburbs is the tax rates. The tax rates really make a huge difference in what you're paying. And sometimes those tax rates fluctuate because there may not be enough industrial or commercial properties in the area to kind of take up the bulk of that tax rate, because they're paying at 25% compared to you guys who are homeowners or condo owners. All right? And then from there, your treasurer, Maria Pappas, prints the bills, and it gets put in your mailbox. So that is the cycle for your property taxes. Now, again, as I told you guys, you can start with the assessor. It is not a requirement. If you miss the time to file at the assessor's office, you can come directly to us at the Board of Review, and we will process your appeal. It is not a prerequisite. Again, they handle your exemptions and certificates of error. In the packets that we gave you, we have the assessor's office phone number and contact information as well. If you live in Rich Township, we do have the Rich Township assessor's office in the back. If you all are from Bremen Township, your assessor is Willie Jones. They're over by the Bremen Courthouse. So you guys have some options if you do want to contact them. Now, there are a few exemptions, and I'm going to talk about some of them. First things first, you should not get any exemptions on your income property. Exemptions are only for your primary residence where you live, all right? If the assessor's office finds out that you're getting an exemption on your income property, they're going to send you a nice letter in the mail. Hey, Mrs. Jones, you have had this exemption on your property for 5 years. You now owe us $8,000. No payment plan, nothing. They want a lump sum. And if you don't give them the lump sum, they will put a lien on your property. So they will get their money eventually, okay? So again, only get these exemptions on your primary residence. The first exemption that everyone should have on their primary residence is their homeowner's exemption. The qualification is for you to live in that property and for it to be your primary residence. The next exemptions I want to talk about are for my senior citizens. If you are a senior and you are 65 years of age or older, you can apply for the senior citizens exemption. So say, for instance, today is your birthday and you're turning 65. You cannot take advantage of that exemption until January 1st of 2026, all right? You have to be 65 within that tax year, all right? Now, for those of you who are seniors and who are on a fixed income and your income is less than $65,000, you can apply for the senior citizens freeze. Now, when they say income of $65,000, they are talking about your total household income. So if you are living with a grandchild or one of your kids are living with you and they have a job, they want your income and your child or whoever's generating income in the house. So even if you guys are at $64,999.99, file, okay? Now, if you're $65,001, you're out of luck, okay? So it has to be within that threshold. Now, there are a couple more exemptions that I want to speak to you guys about, but you can go to the assessor's website, which is www.cookcountyassessor.com. And they have a list of all the exemptions that you can take advantage of. You can have up to 4 exemptions on your primary residence at one time. So make sure you're taking advantage of what you can. The other exemption is for my veterans. If you are a veteran returning from active duty within the past year, you can apply for the returning veterans exemption. If you are a disabled veteran and you have a service-related disability, you can apply for the disabled veterans exemption. Now, with that one, you will receive a letter from the VA. You'll get that letter, and it will say every year you'll get a renewal letter. Every year they will say, just to let you guys know, if you have friends or family who didn't make it, or you're unsure or forget anything tonight, they are recording it, and it will be on the Village of Tinley Park's website. So you guys keep that in mind just in case you forget, because I know I'm giving you guys a lot of information. All right? Now, back to the disabled veterans exemption. For that exemption, you will get a letter every year from the VA to state what percentage you are deemed disabled. All you have to be is at least 30% disabled to take advantage of that exemption. If you are deemed 70% or more disabled by the VA, you pay no taxes on a property that is worth $250,000 or less. So, say your house is worth $300,000. That first $250,000 you would not be taxed on, but that additional $50,000 you would. All right? This is an exemption that you have to fill out every year because you have to have that new letter every year from the VA. All right? Again, all of these exemptions are on the assessor's website, and there are several more. Now, there is one exemption I know somebody's going to ask about tonight, so I may as well get it out of the way now. Somebody's going to ask about the long-term homeowners exemption. Yeah, I see the heads. Yeah. So, that is a very difficult exemption to get. That exemption was created in like 2004, you know, when they had the market crash and the housing crash and everything was super crazy. They implemented that then to help people who were drowning. So the qualifications for that exemption, 2 of them most people may be able to qualify. You have to live in there for 10 years. Your total household income has to be $100,000 or less. Here's the kicker. Your property value has to have gone up by, I believe, 7 or 8% consistently for like 7 years. So just say it went up, just say for 5 years, and then it went down, you're starting over. So a lot of people can't get that anymore. So I just like to tell people, because they always ask about that one, but the qualifications is too off. So most people can't get that. All righty. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to calculate your tax bill. This example will be on your tax bill, your second installment, with your particulars. But in this particular example, we're looking at a property that is worth $250,000. The level of assessment for residential properties is 10%. So what is 10% of $250,000? $25,000. Okay, I couldn't hear you guys that good. $25,000. That is the number that we at the Board of Review can make changes to. So when you see all of these other things in the calculations, we can't do anything about it. Remember, we talked about that state equalizer? That's going to be in this calculation. And for this particular example, the only exemption that this homeowner could get was the homeowner's exemption. So a person that is living in an area with a 21% tax rate and their house is worth $250,000, they're going to be paying about $13,735 in taxes. All right? Now, how many of you know where Ford Heights is? Okay. Ford Heights has the highest taxes in Cook County. Okay? It used to be park forest. Where you can find this information is on the Cook County Clerk's website. Every year, they have an annual report that they process, which will tell you what your tax rate is for the past 3 years to kind of see a comparative analysis, and they will also let you know where your tax dollars are going. All right? Another thing that I encourage people, when they talk about these budgets going unchecked, we have to start going to the meetings. We have to start showing up in droves, groups of us, so that we can say, hey, maybe we can cut some spending here and give our opinions as a group. Because when we come together as one, you make more of a change. So that's something to think about. If you guys ever want to see this, you can go again to the Cook County Clerk's website and click on property taxes, and you'll be able to see this report, all right? Now, your first installment tax bill, which you guys have, is only a 55% estimate, an estimate of what you paid the prior year. None of your exemptions will be on your first installment. If you get an appeal with us, that will not be on your first installment, okay? This is just an estimate of what you paid the prior year. Now, when you get to your second installment, this is the one you really want to pay close attention to. Everybody always looks at the total due, and then they fold it up and put it back in the envelope. We want you guys to look at a couple more things, all right? Up there at the top, by the amount due, is also going to be your PIN number. Your PIN number is kind of like your social security number for your property. You need to use that to file exemptions, file appeals. If you're doing something with your deed, anything like that, you need your PIN number. Also at the top will be what classification your property is and what township your property is in. And you want to know your township because you want to make sure you get your appeal in on time. All right? The next part to pay attention to is the middle section. It says where your money is going. So in this section, Maria Pappas has kind of switched it up where they'll let you know what you paid last year, what the difference is, how much more or how much less you're paying. So you'll be able to see all that in the section that says where your money goes. Now, the next thing you want to pay attention to is the tax calculator. The tax calculator is where that calculation for your tax bill, that's where that will be. All right? It's going to show the value that the assessor's office has placed on your property, your level of assessment, and it's also going to show your exemptions. If there is a $0 amount next to an exemption that you should be receiving, that means what? You're not receiving it. So that means you need to contact the Cook County Assessor's Office and fill out the Certificate of Error form. Once you fill that out, they will send you either a corrected tax bill, or if you have paid your taxes already, they will cut you a check for overpayment. All right? So you always want to check the tax calculator to make sure every exemption you should be receiving is in there. All right? And then next to there is a box that says important messages. In the important messages box, the font is like a 7. It's so tiny, okay? When you look in there, it'll let you know if you owe any taxes or if you are due a refund. It will say that in there. So make sure you have your glasses on and you look in that section to see if you're due any money, all right? All right, let's go to the next one. Now, the Board of Review, that is who I work for. Your commissioner, Commissioner Larry Rogers, Jr. Again, if you are dissatisfied with the assessment from the assessor's office, you can come directly to us. When we look at properties, the first thing we look at is comparable properties. We want to see if your property is uniform with other properties in your area. So we're going to look at things like age, square footage, identification, and location. So say, for instance, your property is new construction. I don't want to compare that to a 100-year-old home. If your home is 1,500 square feet, I don't want to compare that to a 7,000 square foot home. I want to find something as similar to your property as possible. That is our purpose. Then when we talk about comparable sales, we're going to look at recent sales in your area within like a 1 mile radius of your property, just to see what the trend is and what is going on. If you've had a fire, we'll want to see a fire report. We'll want to see pictures of that damage, any insurance claims. If you've had water damage, if you've gotten some money from FEMA, or again, you had to file an insurance claim, those are all things to be used as evidence. And you could submit those. As many pictures as you have, police reports, all of those things are evidence for your vacancy appeal. All right. Now, for those of you who own commercial property, if your commercial property is in your name, you can file an appeal here today. If your commercial property is in an LLC or any type of business entity, you must have an attorney. That is the board rules, okay? Sure, no problem. So if you own commercial property and your business is in the commercial property, it is owner occupied, and you occupy the property, you can file the appeal on your own. It has to be in your name and your business in there. If your property is in an LLC, any type of business entity, you must have an attorney. All right? That information is in your packets too, that you guys have on your chairs, just in case you need a refresher. Okay? For commercial properties that are owner occupied, we want to see an appraisal that has been completed in the past 3 years. If your commercial property is leased or rented, we'll want to see rent rolls, schedulees, 3 years of your IRS schedulees. If the property's vacant, if you have it listed on MLS, if you have a sign in the window that says for rent or for sale, those are all things that can be submitted. Snap a picture of that, because we want to see that you're actually trying to mitigate your losses and get somebody in that property. All right? So those are some of the things that you're going to need for commercial property. Now, for those of you who own condominiums, condominiums are a little tricky. Now, with condominiums, you all know there's a condo declaration, and that condo declaration is a legal binding agreement. So when we look at comparables for condos, we're looking at sales comparables that have happened in your building. All right? Now, there are some smaller condominiums. A lot of those are more so in the city, where you might have a 2-flat or a 3-flat that they've converted into condos. Because those are smaller, we may do a comparative analysis on the block, because usually there are a few of those on the block that we can look at as comparables. But for the most part, with condominiums, we are looking at sales that have occurred in your condo building within the past 3 years. And if there's vacancy or flood or any type of damage like that, the same applies for the residential appeals with your documentation. Now, there are a few things that you should know. Each township is open for a 30-day period. Once that 30-day period has passed, we will not accept any more appeals. So right now, most of you in this room are either in Rich Township, Bremen Township, or Orland Township. None of those townships have a date yet. So what we're doing now is pre-filing. So you guys are getting a head start, all right? This appeal that you're filling out today, you know that late tax bill that's coming, possibly in October or so? This has nothing to do with that. You would have already had to file an appeal on those taxes, because you pay your taxes 1 year in arrears. So this appeal that you're doing here today, you're getting a head start so that next year around this time, you would have already put the work in. Okay? So always keep that in mind. Also, at the Board of Review, there are 3 separately elected commissioners. All 3 commissioner staffs are going to view your file. All there needs to be is a 2 to 3 vote. The 2 votes will stand. And if we see room for a reduction, we will grant that. We do not raise your assessment, and we will not penalize you for any evidence that you submit. For instance, I've had people to submit comparables that were actually higher than their property. We're not going to count that against you. We'll throw those out and not use it and leave you alone. Or if we find comparables that do help you to get a reduction, we will give those to you. So if you don't have any evidence, that is fine. Keep that in mind. We will do everything for you. And the whole process takes about 6 to 8 weeks. So just say, for instance, your township doesn't open till December. That means we won't get started until December. So 6 to 8 weeks after that 30-day window is when you will receive a decision. So keep that in mind. And any changes will be on your second installment tax bill. Now, currently, these are the only townships that are open at the Board of Review right now: Oak Park, Palos, and Cicero. Those townships will be closing on the 19th of this month. Again, for anybody in here, we don't have a date yet, so we're just getting our pre-filing started. Now, these are the townships that are currently closed: Riverside, River Forest, Rogers Park, Berwyn, Evanston, and Norwood Park. So if you have any friends or family in that area, they have missed their window and will have to wait until next year. All of these dates are on our website, which is www.cookcountyboardofreview.com. Now, everyone got a form in their packet, all right? I'm going to show you guys how to fill out this form. Of course, the mayor, is the best, and he sent you guys this in the mail. So mostly everybody in here had this already. If you have it already, that's fine. We're just going to go over it to make sure you have it filled out right, all right? Does anybody need an additional form? If you have more than one property, you're going to need additional forms. Erica, can we bring some more forms? Jeffrey, can we bring more forms up here? If you need more forms, keep your hand up. All right, and we're going to walk through this while they pass out some more forms. Just be patient with us. They're coming from the back. And also, because you do have time, you don't have to turn it in today. If you decide later you want to drop it off at the mayor's office, I will come and pick it up. Okay? But I would say go ahead and fill it out today if you can and if you feel comfortable. If you have additional evidence, just say you have an appraisal at home or you have pictures or anything like that, you can submit that later in an envelope. All you need is your PIN number, name, and address. All right? So let's go through this form. First things first, at the top it says permanent index number. That is your PIN number. Remember the social security number for your property. You're going to put in one number per box, okay? Just say, for instance, you have 2 PIN numbers for your property. Some people have a garage, and your garage has a separate PIN number, okay? We want you to put your main house on that first set of boxes, and then the second section where you see the line numbers 1 through 5 on the side, that's where you're going to put your second PIN. That is not for comparables. That's only if you have an additional PIN to your property. The next section is the address of appellant and your name. This is where you want all your contact information sent. Name, address, city, email, and phone number. If you don't have an email, that is okay. All right? Now, the next section says location and identification of real estate. If you are appealing your mailing address that you have right up above, you're going to check the box that says same as above. If you are appealing a different property than your mailing address, you're going to put that on the address line underneath same as above. From there, the next section is description of property. If you have a single family home, you are going to check single family home. If you have a 2-flat or 3-flat, you're going to check 6 apartments or less. Condo, whatever type of property you have, please check that box. Now, under there, it asks if your property was purchased before 2020, well, it should be, yours is newer, 2022, then you would put it up there. If you bought your property before 2022, no need to put the purchase price. Don't worry about it. We only want the recent purchases. Now, under there is status of appellant. Most of you guys are going to be the owner, so you are going to check the owner box, all right? If you are the beneficiary or executor of the account, please check whatever applies to your particular situation. Now, the next question is, do you have additional evidence? Now, like I said, you do not have to have additional evidence. If you do, I know some people have like binders put together with pictures, comparables. They got like a whole thing put together. If you have that, you can submit it. If you don't have that, again, that is okay. We will do the work for you and look at sales and comparables to help you if there is room to do so. All right? And the next question is in red. It says, I request a hearing before the Cook County Board of Review. So in the past, when you wanted a hearing, you had to come down to City Hall, pay like $54 for parking, and then you would come in front of someone like myself or my colleagues and tell us what's wrong. Now, since the pandemic, we do it on the phone, so you don't have to come down. So if you do want a hearing, and I tell people to check that box if you have extenuating circumstances or ongoing issue that has not been addressed. You would check that box for a hearing. You will get a letter in the mail or an email to tell you what day your hearing is. They will give you a block of time. So they may say 9 to 11. You'll get a call from an analyst. We'll talk to you about your case. You can ask questions. And if the analyst is requesting any more evidence or data from you, they will request those things at the hearing and give you an opportunity to submit. So again, if you have an ongoing issue, you can check that box for a hearing. If not, you just want us to take a look at things and see if there's room for a reduction, leave that box blank. And then the most important thing is to sign the form. I can't tell you how many people forget to sign the form and then it's not valid. And then I have to give you a call and say, hey, you didn't sign the form. I have to mail you another one so you can fill it out right this time. So let's avoid that and make sure you sign where it says appellant or attorney. That's where you'll sign. And that is it for the appeal form. That's very easy and simple and straight to the point. One form. Now I'm going to briefly go over filing online. Some people prefer to file online. I'm going to go through this briefly with you and just let you know some of the benefits of that. If you want to file online, you will go to the Cook County Board of Review website and you will click where it says Submit Appeal at the top or File Appeal at the bottom. Once you get to this section, at the top, it's going to say log in and register. If you have filed an appeal before, you will have a username and password. You will put that information in. If you have never filed an appeal before online, take the extra 2 minutes and register. If you register, you'll be able to see what the analyst said, and your appeal will start to be tracked in the system. So if you uploaded an appraisal, comparables, anything, all of that will be noted in the system. So that is one of the benefits. If you file your appeal as a guest, you will not get the benefit of that. So take the extra minute to set up the username and password. From there, they're going to ask you what type of appeal. The type of appeal is that your property is over-assessed. All right? That is the type of appeal. From there, they are going to ask for your PIN number. All right? If you don't know your PIN number, there's a little section that will help you find your PIN number based on your address. So you don't have to worry about that. And then from there, you're going to put that PIN number in and click Next. Once you click Next, if you have additional evidence, you can upload it. If not, you'll just click Submit, done. All right? Now, one thing I will tell you, if you are going to fill out your appeal online, do not wait till the last day that your appeal is due. It's going to be a lot of people trying to file at the last minute, and if your appeal is not in by 11:59, it will be rejected. So don't get on there at 11:55 and try to put in your appeal, and then you get kicked out at 11:59. All right? So give yourself a good 30 minutes just in case so you can get it in. Don't wait to the last minute. All right, I'm almost done, guys. I know you want to go home. Now, I want you guys to save this information. It is in your packet as well. If you want to file your appeal from your phone, you can do that by texting the word file, F-I-L-E, to the phone number 872-345-4747. Commissioner Rogers created a mobile-friendly link to make sure everyone can file an appeal. Some people do not have access to laptops or desktops, and you doing government things, you kind of need that. But Commissioner Rogers wanted to make sure everyone can file, so we have a mobile-friendly link, because a lot of people, you have your email to your phone, pictures, and other data right there at your fingertips. So we want you to be able to utilize that. Also, if you want to join our texting service and be able to know about events like this, be updated on when your township opens or closes, you will text that same number, 872-345-4747, and you will text the word EASY JOIN. EZJOIN. If you do that, you will be kept up to date about events like this, and again, townships opening and closing. Now, our office number and email address is again inside your packet. Just say, for instance, you forgot your username and password when you filed last year. You can call us at 312-603-5542, and we can reset your password for you. All right? So I'm going to open it up for questions. We're going to take some questions. We also, like I say, we have some staff here to assist. But again, I want to thank the panel for allowing me to be here today and to talk to you guys about these things. Thank you for your patience and making it in the rain. So thank you guys so much, and I'm going to take questions. I need you to be loud too when you ask your questions. Yes, sir?
The date for Bremen to file isn't here yet. If we file online now, what will happen to it?
It will sit and wait the same way these paper files will sit and wait until Bremen opens, and then we will begin to process them. So they'll all be held in a pre-file status.
So it's good to do that ahead of time?
Either one. Yes, sir. You can do either one, paper or online. Yes, ma'am. Well, that is a pickle you want to pick with the assessor's office. We don't assess it. He comes up with these values. They use what they call a mass appraisal way of looking at properties, where they're looking at large portions at one time. Cook County has 1.9 million parcels of property, so trying to look at those individually would be quite taxing and would need more staff than they currently have. So they do mass appraisal, where they're looking at massive groups at one time. And sometimes some areas are not comparable to the areas that they're using. Depending on where you are in the village or where you are within your city, it can be major, major differences. So that is one thing. Also, an issue is that the assessor's office is not consistent in the way they value the properties, and it varies from area to area. That is a problem. Not sticking to industry standards for valuation gets things off keel. Okay, wait, let me do the property tax ones, and then we'll get back, because I'm going to take a few questions, and then I'm going to give it to the mayor and the commissioner of highway to answer those questions that they may have. I just want to do the property tax, and I'm going to get out your way and allow these great ladies and gentlemen to take it from there. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a house that has foundation issues. So obviously
Did you have major flooding? So she asked, her question was foundation issues.
I have pictures that show severe foundation.
So what you can do is you can file your appeal. What she has foundation issues, and she wanted to know, should she appeal based on that? Some things are wear and tear on your property. I'm just saying, some things are wear and tear. So some things will not be considered. But you can write a letter. You can handwrite it. You can type it, whatever your preference is, and say, I'm Miss Jones. I live at 123 Main Street. My PIN number is 1234. I'm having serious foundation issues with my property. I've had to file an insurance claim to get these things fixed, whatever there may be. You can provide pictures, all of those things.
The mobile one would be good for the
Either way, like I say, some people, you can appeal. We'll look at it and see if there is room for us to make. We can consider that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So in your brochure, you have the question, do I need an attorney to file an appeal on my behalf? Do you address that for commercial? Is that the only, does that apply to residential at all?
So, yes, it does. So if your residential property, your home is in an LLC or a business entity, you will need an attorney.
So it says any other legal entity.
Yes.
Does that include a living trust?
You can file on a trust.
So you don't need.
Are you on the trust?
Yes, it's my trust.
Yes, so you can. Yes, sir. Ma'am, you had a question? I'm coming back there too. I didn't forget you guys. 1 second, I got her. You're next, ma'am. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
If the characteristics that are listed on the assessment with the house are wrong,
So she asks, right. So she asks if the classification and description of your property is incorrect, is that a reason to appeal? Yes. So if you're saying you don't have a garage and you may be taxed as though you have a garage, then that would be a reason. We'll want to see pictures of your property and show us an error. If, say, the assessor is saying your property's has 3,000 square feet and you only have 2,500 square feet, that's a problem. If they're saying your property is brick or masonry and it's frame, not as important as the square footage and an improvement that's not there. Okay? The other things like the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and stuff, that more so comes into play when you're selling. People want more bedrooms, more bathrooms. So that's when that comes into play more. All right, I'm coming over there next. Let me get you in the back with the yellow hat, sir. So he's asking about all those solicitations you get in the mail and they say, your property's oversessed. I can save you $526 and such and such, such and such. First things first, some of those are consultants. Consultants are not by law allowed to file at the Board of Review. A consultant firm has to have an attorney on staff in order to file at the Board of Review. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, no, you don't have a better probability of filing because you have an attorney. No, that's not true. Okay, let me come over here and I'll come back to you, sir. Yes, sir. So he asked if he submitted his own comparables, does that help you more or does it matter? So, of course, you live in your community. You know what's going on in your community. So if you have something, of course, submit it. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be any more, beneficial, but we will look at anything that you provide. And if we can use it, we will use it towards your appeal. All right? Yes, ma'am, and then I'm coming back over here. We'll take a few more questions, and then I'm going to pass it over to our great panelists.
Okay, that this is filled out jointly?
What do you mean jointly?
Like husband and wife?
Yes, as long as husband or wife is on the deed. Okay. All right, let's go back over here. Yes, sir.
You mentioned equalizer,
Yes.
and that wasn't really in effect because of the computer mismatch. If that like turned on today for the next assessment, would these things kind of like balance themselves out? Because it seemed kind of it went belly wampus for some reason, and you had mentioned that was something that wasn't working right now between the two systems.
Right. So the equalizer is not going to fluctuate your assessment. Your assessment is separate. So the wonky assessment where it's going up and down and up and down, that has no bearing on the equalizer.
So that wouldn't do anything if that came into effect right now.
No, that's just going to get your tax bill out to you quicker so you could pay it.
And you mentioned that it seemed like a off balance. Fort Height was 29%. And Hinsdale was 7%. Is there? I mean, I don't know how that happened, but is there any kind of effort to get that equalized? I don't get.
Yes. So actually, thank you. So if you guys, when you're leaving out, the table directly behind the gentleman who's videotaping this, there is a petition that you can sign, and also the letter that will be going along with the petition that's going to Pritzker's office. They have over, I believe, 7,000 or more signatures already. And you don't have to specifically live in Rich Township. As long as you're in the southern suburbs, which is where you guys live, you can sign this. This is talking about other alternatives to bring the taxes down in the south suburbs. As you guys know, as the mayor said, there are a lot of overlapping forms of government out here in the south suburbs. You got the city, the village, the township, the state. You got so many different forms of government pulling on one pool. That is one of the problems. So if you are interested and want to look into it, you can take the letter home if you don't want to sign today, and they actually have the change.org petition link where you can type this into your phone or to your computer and sign this petition. That is one thing to do. We're going to take a couple more questions and then I'll be done. I'm sorry, guys. Lady in the white jacket. Where's she at? Oh, yes. Uh-huh. We're looking at the living square footage. So we're looking at the living square footage of your property.
Okay, what is like 2,200 square feet, 2,400 square feet? Like, is there like, I'm thinking between, like, it doesn't have to be exact, right? So is there like 2,500 to 3,000 square foot house?
That may be a certain classification of property.
Okay, what if you're the same classification? Okay, I appealed last year. Here's my house, here's my neighbor behind me. We have a difference of like 250 square feet a house. Is this house is assessed and paid $1,000 cheaper in taxes than I do?
Well, first off, wait. First things first. Do you know how many times they've appealed? No. Yeah, you don't know, right? So let me give you an example. So say, for instance, your neighbor that you're talking about, they appeal every single year. When's the last time you appealed? Last year, right?
I came here last year and filled this out.
Okay. If just say, and I'm giving an example, say they've been filing an appeal for the past 12 years and you've only done it, just say 3 times. They may have been beneficial and their assessment has gone down because they appealed. If you haven't appealed, that may be an issue. Also, the 200 in square footage difference, that makes a difference because we're looking at your improvement by your square footage to come up with your price per square foot on the property. So that gets a little muddled, I know, but that doesn't matter. Also, too, you have to think about exemptions that they have. You know, just say your neighbor's a disabled veteran. Say your neighbor's a disabled person. You can check it online. Okay, we will have to look at it. Like I say, we don't know if they've been appealing over the years. You can take a separate sheet of paper and you can handwrite it or you can type it and say, like I say, I'm the owner. My neighbor at 123 Main Street is assessed much lower than my property and our properties are identical. And then we could take a look at it and see if that's something that we can make changes to. Yes, ma'am. And we're taking 2 more questions, and then I'll give it to the panel. Again, guys, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
That situation applied to condo owners too, because it appears that I was assessed, my taxes tripled over the last 2 years, and the other people in my building, they have not had an increase. I don't know if it's because I purchased the property a couple years ago, and they've been there for 20 years.
So, with condominiums are tough. Because, like I was saying earlier, you have a legal binding agreement. So say your unit, you got 7.26% ownership. You have one of the bigger units in the building. And you're a more recent purchase. So your purchase price is going to be higher than somebody that moved in 20 years ago. So they're going to look at all the sales, not just your unit. They're going to look at all the sales that have occurred in the past 3 years in your condo. We're going to add up all those percentages of ownership for each of those units and come up with a value for the entire building. So say 50 units sold in your building. It makes it tougher for those assessments to go down unless, the properties are undervalued. So it kind of puts you in a pickle because for the most part with condos, you're not going to be assessed at what you paid. It's usually going to be higher, unfortunately. I 100% understand, but I would have to look specifically at your building to see what the sales trend is. Because if those sales are trending up with condos, we're looking at sales data only in your building. So you might have a building next to yours and their assessments are lower, the sales are lower, but your building, and I'm just using an example, your building could be have a great view. You got a water view or something, and the building next to you is up against a wall. So all of those location kind of matters with that. These are our last 2 questions. I had some, yes ma'am, I'm sorry, I forgot about you. Yes ma'am. Wow, you guys are a rough crowd. Gee whiz. You're supposed to invite her with open arms. Go ahead, ask your question. Okay, what's your question? Go ahead. So that can vary too, like I say, with exemptions. So say, for instance, one of those buildings was owned, like a person bought it as like a developer. Like they were just going to, maybe flip it, do a couple things and move along. They're not going to have any exemptions. So I'm going to bet that property that's the 10,000, they have no exemptions on there. Then go ahead. Well, it might not be. Well, that's why this is the thing. When you are purchasing a house, you have to do your own work. You may have an attorney or a realtor, that's helping you along, but a lot of times it's a bottom line, and not saying that in a bad way, but you have to protect your own interest. A lot of times I've seen people who bought homes from seniors. They had senior free, senior exemption, disabled person, all of this stuff, and then they bought the house, and at closing they're like, oh, your taxes are going to be $1,500. You're like, Jesus, this is the best ever. But a lot of people, when you go to closing, you're getting what you can afford, right? You're like, okay, I know I can afford $1,700. You might have a little wiggle room, give yourself maybe $2,000, something, you give yourself a range. So now you bought this house thinking your taxes are going to be that. You're going to keep those for 1 year. And then after that, everything falls off. So that $1,500 tax bill went up to $10,000. Now your escrow is in a deficit. And then now you're in a pickle. Okay? So I would recommend to the couple who's going to be looking for a house, pay attention to all of those things at closing. I would ask them to give a higher percentage of the deduction or money they give you for taxes. Usually they're like, oh, they give you 100% of what the taxes will be. I would ask for 125%. The most they could say is no, but you can ask. So that's the option. I know we're getting late here. I'm going to pass this off. One more question. This is it. End of the road.
What is the best way to search for comparables and compare the taxes of your neighbors and you?
So you can go to, excuse me, you can go to the Cook County Assessor's website and look up comparables. Your PIN number is broken into sections. You'll take the first 3 sections of numbers, and those you can start to look at that are in your area. Each number in your PIN number means something. So it goes from section, block, the unit on the block, your lot, all of those type of things. So you can use that. You can go on Zillow. You can go on Redfin if you know about sales or things that are in your area. You could use all of those things as places to find comparables. Now, I've overrun my time. I think they're going to kill me about it, but I am so grateful that you guys are here. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can meet our table in the back. With your forms, if you're turning them in today, leave them in the back. Do not tear off your yellow sheet. We will mail it to you. If there's not a timestamp on there, you can't prove that you gave it to us. So make sure you leave that on here. Again, I want to thank the panel for allowing me to be here on behalf of Commissioner Rogers. Thank you guys for your patience. Mayor.
Give it up for Dana Pointer. So thank you everyone for coming tonight. And if you have any questions, feel free please to reach out to Dana at Commissioner Rogers' office or myself. You can contact Lisa Butler or Mayor Dodge, and we'll help you with anything that you need. So thank you again for coming. And if you know anyone from Will County, please let them know. We do it every year. They will be next. We'll probably do them later, like around October or so. So I hope everyone has a good night. Thank you for coming.